Hello and welcome back to the American Dream Portfolio. Imagine you are at the top of a snow-covered mountain with a tiny cluster of snowflakes in your hand. You pack the snowflakes into a little ball, set it down on a nearby drift of snow, and give it a gentle push. As this is a tall, steep mountain, the force of gravity begins acting on the little snowball, sending it on a downward roll. As it rolls, it not only picks up speed, it also picks up more snow. Since the snow that's picked up needs to stick to something, it sticks to the snow that is rolling past. The more snow there is in the rolling snowball, the more snow it can pick up as it moves down the mountain. If this little process continues, what will happen? I think we can all appreciate that the snowball will get larger as it rolls. If the mountain is high enough and steep enough, the snowball may become quite massive before it finally comes to a grinding, crunching halt at the bottom of the mountain. If we examine the trail it created, we see at the top of its course only a tiny, linear depression of snow with barely any depth to it at all. Whereas, at the bottom of the mountain, the monster snow mass has engulfed not only all the snow in its path, but has torn huge chunks of earth out of the ground, adding even further to its impressive bulk. What does this phenomenon of the rolling snowball have to do with the American Dream Portfolio helping you invest successfully for your future? After all, as we discussed last time, that is our first priority. It turns out that this amusing little story is a pretty good analogy about the nature and effect of compounding. Albert Einstein is believed by some to have said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said that, we don't know, but we are here to explain why that statement has validity and why the effect of compound interest is critical to your financial future. Let's analyze the snowball's rolling adventure and see how it relates to building wealth. First, we'll start with the little cluster of snowflakes you started with at the top of the mountain. This cluster represents the modest, initial deposit of dollars you might make into your investment account. It doesn't seem like it will do you much good, but maybe a little voice in your head told you to go ahead and invest the money anyway. Then what happens? As time passes, your little snowball starts growing, but you may not even notice it. You may have heard about the magic of compound interest from friends, advisors, or social media. But as you look at your account statement, you don't see any magic looking back at you. Why no magic? Because when your little snowball is in the early stages of its journey, it has very little size and very little weight. It can only pick up snowflakes in its path, which is narrow, and it doesn't have the weight to jar loose any snow lying well beneath the surface. Likewise, the basic concept of compound interest is that it grows your account in proportion to the size of your account. A small, initial balance grows slowly, like the baby snowball. Remember in our first video we said that growing wealth takes patience? Well, this is an example of when patience is needed and will be rewarded. As the snowball keeps rolling, it gets larger and cuts a wider path through the snow. A wider path means more snowflakes in its way will be picked up, and a larger snowball is heavier, which means it can wrestle snow out of the ground that is below the surface. The rate at which the snowball's size grows continues to increase. It was increasing before, but now it's noticeable. Now, you might look at your account statement and think, that's a nice surprise. What's happening to grow the value of your account during this journey of compounding? Well, think of the snowflakes as dollar bills, sticking to the dollars already in the account. What makes them stick? They stick because of a promise made to you by the financial institution where you initially deposited your money, the cluster of snowflakes. They promised you a certain rate of return, say 5% per year. That means that if you initially placed $100 into your account, the financial institution promises you that $5 will stick to the $100 you deposited. Now you have $105. But when the time comes to credit you with interest again, the amount of new, sticky dollars depends not just on the original $100, but on the current balance of $105. Now you have $110.25. When it happens again, you get sticky dollars equal to 5% of $110.25. That's $5.51 of sticky dollars added to your account. Now you have $115.76. What if we repeat this process 10 times from the very beginning? Your account balance would be $162.89. What's been happening here? Well, what's been happening is that you are capturing sticky dollars, or interest, based not only on the money you deposited, but also on the number of sticky dollars already in the snowball. In the account. The result is that if this process is allowed to repeat 15 times from the very beginning, your account would be worth $207.89, which means your account would have more sticky dollars in it than the original dollars you deposited. And you didn't have to work for those sticky dollars. We have a special name for income like that. It's called passive income, and it's due entirely to the effect of compounding. Notice that, so far, you didn't add any money to your account. You were content to see what would happen automatically. Well, now you know. Your account has more than doubled while you sat back and passively observed. So what if that little voice inside your head told you to let that money grow, untouched, until you reached retirement? What then? Well, let's say that we are talking about a 30-year period. Your account balance would be $432.19. The snowball effect, which we can now call compounding, added over 3 times more sticky dollars than you originally put in. Talk about a force for wealth creation. What does all this mean? Well, recall from our last video, we said that the growth of an investment depends on 3 factors: amount of money invested, rate of return on that money, and the amount of time the money is put to work. In this example, we have amount invested, $100, rate of return, 5% time invested, 30 years, total value at end of period, $432.19. If we represent this in percentage terms, it would be a gain of 332.19% of the original deposit. But we have a lot more to cover about compounding. For example, in our analogy, what is the meaning of the steepness and size of the mountain? What about the force of gravity? And is this how compounding works in the real world? Stay tuned.